Anyway, hey, you guys don't know who I am. I'm Halflock. You can call me Tom. You can call me whatever the fuck you want. Um, However, I'm getting bored out of my head. Uh, so I decided to do something I don't have any real reason to do other than because it sort of makes me laugh. Um, but I want to remind you guys that I'm here in Italy. Uh, hence, um, hence being here in Italy. Uh, on top of that, with the boredom and all the other stuff that I got to deal with. Or not because of any of that. I find it necessary to find a way to stave off the lingering depression, or rather, the impending depression that comes from um, being a political asylum applicant here in the EU, which again is not really fun. I mean, it's whatever. It's again, there are like worse off folks, a lot worse off folks who are dealing with the exact same thing. I'm not in a camp for one thing, so that's good or bad. It sort of depends on which angle you look at it. Um, but I decided to give like a review of this piece of gear. So I'm going to talk about this piece of gear for a little bit. I introed with a song that I thought is Italian, but it's not. It's an American song, from what I've been told. Uh, but it was like the theme for like the Italian Revolution. What is it? One, it's hilariously racist and ethnically insensitive for me to play that song in front of the Leaning Tower of Pisa, I suppose. Um, Being a political asylum applicant in Italy, just good stuff, great stuff. Uh, but on top of that, it's a nice song. So if you don't like the song, just on the merits of the song itself and the music itself, you've got issues far deeper than um, running my business to deal with. Uh, so this piece of gear, the Odyssey Travel Sax 2, came out not too long. I want to say like a year and a half, 2 years ago. It's by a company out in Spain, España, as they call it here in the EU, and it's a practice tool. As you can see, it's pretty small. It looks like a saxophone. The reason it looks like a saxophone is because it is designed as a practice tool for saxophone players. So I think I've spoken about this before. Myself, I've been playing the sax since I was 13. I know it doesn't show uh, because I don't practice enough. I've been sitting here in Italy, in and out of the shed, uh, literally and figuratively. Uh, but I've been brushing up after a good decade of I shouldn't say a decade, after a good amount of time of not playing consistently. It just happens over the course of 30 years. Uh, you know how it goes. What is it? Perform a little bit, work the whole time. I was a weekend warrior out in San Francisco. Um, Played with like a couple of blues rock groups. There's nothing out of the ordinary for like a person that just knows how to play the music. Uh, and doesn't really have any like reason to deal with like the celebrity that comes with being a entertainer, which is what music is now. Uh, but with work and school, going back to school uh, at the new school, where there are some great musicians coming out of, from what I've been told, and then enlisting in the military and doing Navy intelligence for a short time I was doing it. It creates a great degree of intellectual and mental stimulation that is not entirely amenable to the focus that's required to play the saxophone. So while I've been here trying to stave off that monstrosity of a convergence of holy shits, I've been trying to hit the shed. And unfortunately for me, my saxophones are back in the States. I've got a Series 3 that I've had since I was 16 years old. It's tenor. It's my horn. I've been playing it since forever. It just is what it is. I have no thoughts on it at all. Other than that, it's just a Series 3, and it's my horn. I play on a Link Supertone Edge, New York Supertone Master. Excuse me. New York 7. Generally size 3 Van Doren reeds. It's a nice horn. I like to play it. And I do so reasonably well for someone that doesn't put the solo instrumentalist degree of labor into it. Top of all the electronic stuff, and all the video gaming, and all of my incredible storytelling, story writing, and revolutionary intellectual work. I'm going to pick up the saxophone. I have a Laura Paris soprano, which is a decent horn. It's not an expensive horn. It plays perfectly fine. I play on a Tone Edge, other Link 7, also on Van Doren 3s. And I have recently been sitting here in Italy playing this, and realizing this is not going to be sufficient to meet my needs when it comes to getting past or getting over a hump. That hump being um, staving off horrifying boredom uh, that comes with intellectual exhaustion, emotional exhaustion, uh, and being in Italy. I hate to say it, but just being in Italy is exhausting. These people are exhausting. These people. Um, oh, I don't know. It's an interesting situation. I got into an argument. I wouldn't call it an argument. I just spoke gruffly at someone the other day. Uh, I went to go to the central, whatever the fuck it's called, Central Limpiego, to request information about registering for labor. And they asked me for my passport. And I don't know if you guys know anything about applying for political asylum in the EU, but when you do so, they take your passport from you. You no longer have that document. So for people who are political asylum applicants who are in need of housing, who don't find immediate housing, and have to do things like Airbnb and hotels, uh, it creates an particularly difficult um, thing to have to explain when you are standing in front of a concierge who doesn't speak English for the most part, and you're having to explain why it is that you don't have a passport and you are capable of providing them with little other than a piece of paper with your photo on it and a nice little hologram, uh, and explaining why, uh, or that rather, that you're an American here in Italy and that you are a political asylum applicant. Um, so, uh, when people ask me for my passport, uh, it's a little unnerving in the distressing sense. That's not the right word. Nonetheless, one would think that government bureaucracy in Italy would be a little more, how do I say this, communicative about what they do, such that when I have to do the things that a political asylum applicant have to do, their first request is for something that they would have already taken from me. Uh, in the United States, uh, there was a significant issue with intelligence sharing amongst the different bureaucracies and institutions, and it was widely regarded um, to be the what do they call it? What's the term I'm looking for? Everyone knows this term. Uh, Major presiding factor, uh, which resulted in uh, the acts of September 11th, 2001 coming to fruition, is a lack of intelligence sharing amongst the various intelligence and government bureaucracies. Now, I'm not learning to pilot, um, but I'm definitely not asking for directions back to the United States. Uh, and that should alarm most people. It's particularly reasonable. Uh, but I still have to abide the Italian laws. So there is that. Uh, with that, I can't hear anything. With that also comes a lot of time to wait, a lot of time to work on music. in DJing and electronica. All of which I do to relatively quality standard, uh, without putting any or having any of the time to put in, um, to mix downs and mastering and any of that stuff. Uh, so I've gotten quite a little bit of time on this thing. Again, I'm referring to the Odyssey Travel Sax 2. So I'm going to start with the Political Asylum review of the Odyssey Travel Sax 2, uh, with just the body itself. So it's pretty small, as you can see. It's got about, what is that? It's about yay big. So here's my hand. You've seen my hand before from up close. That is about how big it is. I have to put it there. It's about yay big. You'll probably cover the entirety of it from thumb to finger. And it's particularly light. I want to say it's less than a pound. But all the keys are in the right place. It's got a biz. It's got a high F. It's got a high F sharp as well, and a low F sharp. If you don't know anything about this instrument, this wouldn't make any sense. So you don't have to worry about it. But if you do, or if you'd like to know more, everything's in the right place. It's got a neck strap in the back. It's got an octave key. Unfortunately, there's no low A key, which would be an awesome addition, especially for this little tiny thing. But again, everything's in the right place. It's particularly light. Fits in the hands like any other saxophone does, other than the fact that it's incredibly small. I've never played a soprano, so I can't say with any certainty what that's like. I've also never played a curved soprano, so I can't say what that's like. But I can imagine that those tiny little horns are probably probably a little bit like this thing feels. In terms of your hand position, separation of your fingers, the distance your fingers travel from rest to the body of the horn. It's small, built to be travel sized. Comes in. Oh shit. Comes in a teeny little case like this. It's a nice case actually. It's really particularly well made. I think it looks waterproof. I haven't tested. I'm not dunking in water anytime soon. But comes in a case. Travel accessories that you can put your stuff into. Put the horn into it. Put the mouthpiece. It's got a little rack. It also comes with a mouthpiece. I don't know the tip size opening of this. I don't know anything about this particular mouthpiece at all. But it's a standard alto mouthpiece. It's not a huge opening. Were I to pick up an alto saxophone today, I probably would not be playing on this. But that's just sort of what it is. It also comes with a little recorder mouthpiece, which is what I was playing on earlier. Now this thing is a little bit harder to play. I'll get into the mouthpiece and play shortly. It also comes with a straight neck to extend. I think that's the tenor neck. And then there's the alto neck. Let's see. No, these are, yeah. So they're two extenders. They'll allow you to take the horn away from being way the fuck up here. Which just feels off to me. And allows you to bring it further down your chest. So it's a little closer to home for anyone that plays the saxophone. Which you can also pick up, and this is an optional purchase. Actually, I think these two are optional purchases. You can also pick up extenders, or rather adapters, that allow you to throw a baritone, tenor, or soprano mouthpiece onto the end of this thing, so that you can take your mouthpiece and throw it on there, as opposed to just having to stick with the alto mouthpiece. And again, I'm a tenor player, so playing on a hard rubber alto mouthpiece is not too far off for me, especially because I play on a Link Super Tone Master, which is a metal mouthpiece. The New York's version apparently is a little bigger. I've been playing on it since I was 16 years old, so I don't think about a lot of that stuff anymore. I just don't keep track of gear because of those reasons. But if you happen to play the tenor, if you happen to play the bass, if you happen to play the alto, or rather the soprano, as your main horns, you can throw your mouthpieces onto there with the adapters. As you can see, that's the physical coverage that I'm going to give this for the time being. I'm going to get into the keys in a second. It is battery powered. As you can see there, you probably can't see how many lights there are, but those are 2 lights. There are 4 of them. Means that I've gone through half the charge. My speaking is a little off. Means I've gone through half the charge. I've gotten about 4 hours on a charge once, or when I play through it. I think you can probably average about 3.5. I probably play, or rather, not that I probably play. I usually play into my headphones. I usually play with my phone and with another app running simultaneously. So I have music coming into my headphones, and I will explain that shortly. And I usually get about 2 to 3 hours per charge, 3.5 hours per charge, 3 to 3.5 hours per charge. I don't know if that's average for everybody, but I've run into a situation where I've played it, turned it off, and not charged it again, and ran out in the middle of practice. and it has sucked, especially when I get into just the zone. Um, yeah, beyond that, uh, if you have a USB-C charger at home, it comes with a USB-C cable that you can plug in and get yourself charged. That USB-C cable also carries data. I can use it to play MIDI, some MIDI controller as well in that sense. I will not be showing you that aspect of that today because I'm still working on my Lenovo Legion from uh, the end of the main logs, third season, um, and it has a latency that is deeply disconcerting to me. But you can do that, and it works perfectly fine, other than what I can only assume is the latency because of my computer. So I can't really provide it with a reasonable review. I've also got an EWI in the States. The EWI USB plays perfectly fine. It doesn't feel anything like a saxophone. It just feels like a wind instrument. Uh, the EWI's got a couple of different features that this one doesn't have. You can have you can have 8 octaves, and you've got a bend that'll go up to forever. Um, there's no bending on this. The keys are all actuators as opposed to having keys. So you won't get a lot of uh, bending action, to be perfectly honest. Um, but uh, it works good on that end for MIDI. If you get MIDI, you get yourself a MIDI expression pedal, I'm sure it'll be fine. It comes with bundled with an app. Now you can download the app for free uh, on. Now I'm on fucking Android because my phone committed suicide jumping off a balcony right out of my hands. Um, but you can download this on the Google Play Store. Where is it? It comes for the travel sax and travel clarinet too. Why does my face keep cutting out? Travel sax and travel clarinet too. I can't show you the options right now. You can go to the website. I can highly recommend you go to the website and check it out before the end of uh, your day as you are watching this thing currently. Comes with a heap load of sounds. Um, I am an electronic music guy as well as a sax player, so uh, the sounds themselves are not entirely uh, alien to me. But it comes with all 4 saxes. I shouldn't say all 4. It comes with the mainline 4 saxes: soprano, alto, baritone, and tenor. I'm going to give you a sound preview of all of them. So that was tenor that you were listening to. I don't like the alto sound. Um, I don't like the alto sound. It sounds like they took the tenor sound and then just moved it up 4 scale steps. I mean, it's what it is. It's a electronic sample. It's a negligible situation, but it's not a good sound, not to my ears. I just don't like it. The Sopranos, it's hard to define because the Sopranos is just not a good sound to a lot of people to begin with. And it's not going to sound like a real soprano, so I'm not going to baritone is actually one of the better sounds on this thing. There are also a number of synthesizer sounds. There's a clarinet sound, which actually doesn't sound too bad. That's what clarinet sounds like to me in my head. It's got a couple of ensemble sounds, brass sounds. Other videos have been made reviewing all the sounds. I don't feel the need to get into it. I play it to practice saxophone until I can get my hands on a real saxophone. They are, however, coming out with a new app called Odyssey Play, which might actually be something you guys can use if you are looking at the possibility of looking at the possibility of picking up the saxophone as a hobby, or because you haven't played it in years. Odyssey Play is looks like, I mean, it's a play along app. So if you dealt with any play along or type along apps that give you like a fucking a little game to play while you participate in the music itself. That looks to be what's going on with it. It's like Guitar Hero, but it's Sax Hero, and you're playing with an instrument that actually teaches you how to play the real saxophone. Beyond that, I don't know. I haven't signed up for it yet, so I don't know anything about it. The saxophone itself, again, getting back to this thing, because this is the important aspect. I'm going to get to the keys. So they are all made of plastic. The whole thing is made of plastic. I don't mean that in any derogatory sense. I just mean that's the material they chose to make this out of. Again, all the keys are sort of in the right place. It's really small, so it's hard for me to, I'm a tenor player. The thing's way down here. But it lays out in the exact same way. If you've ever played a saxophone before, it'll come to you as easily as picking your own horn back up. However, again, as I was saying, it's plastic. And from what I've been told, the springs on this instrument were slightly different the first time through, and they switched them around. I didn't play the first one, so I don't know anything about it. They are metal springs. However, I will say, despite the fact that it's playable, I personally feel as though if they had um, gone with what looks to be a situation where they're sort of pinching the metal together, and it sort of springs back from um, from closed position to open position. Actual springs, it might have given a slightly better feel to it. It might be like it could potentially give it like a more native feel to any saxophone player. It's not a legitimate critique beyond a suggestion as to how to possibly improve the instrument in the future. I have been noticing a little bit of sluggishness with my F key, and the keys are not exactly weighed, not exactly weighed with the same degree of science as a Selmer Series 3 tenor, for instance. However, if you were looking to, again, have something to carry around, or your embouchure gets tired, or any of the other fucking bullshit reasons that you or I ever give to not pick up your saxophone and play. The most recent bullshit one being clearly that I'm in Italy right now, as you can see from the photo, which should tell you that I'm in Italy based on your understanding of where things are. It will hold you over. It's not a sax, but it's a sax learning tool. I think it retails at about $750 in the States, which is about as much as a beater tenor saxophone or a beater any other instrument. Beater alto, you probably get a beater alto for like $350, $400. You could probably get a beater tenor for $750 to $1,000. End of the day, it retails about the same as an instrument that you would pick up if you were unfamiliar with the horn. That being the case, I actually would not recommend this if you were trying to learn to play the saxophone and you've never played it before. And that's my personal opinion. I'll tell you why that is in just a moment. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. If you are an electronic musician and you want to learn the saxophone, this thing will allow you to use it as a wind controller. So you can do any of the stuff you can do with any other controller, with the exception of it being a wind controller. And you can learn to play saxophone. This Odyssey Play app that's coming out is going to teach you how to play the saxophone, apparently. I mean, you can pick up a book, Paul DeVille method or any of the other method books, and also learn that way with this. But I wouldn't recommend that. That's my opinion. I have zero I don't care what you do with your lives. But if you were asking me whether or not you were going to purchase this piece of gear for your 10-year-old who is about to pick up the saxophone for a middle school class, I would say no. You should probably, one, make sure her school doesn't have a fucking horn. Because if it does, use it. If not, and you want to pick up a cheap beater horn, you can pick up a cheap beater horn. You can pick up a Chinese made. You can pick up a Taiwanese made for $350. And then you can dump it. You can do that with this as well. But there are particularities with this piece of gear that is particularly, it's hard to say. It's not hard to say. I'm judging this as insufficient to help you learn the saxophone because it's not a saxophone. When you blow into this instrument, there is a significant degree of resistance from the diaphragm and the wind tubes. That's a real thing. It's something you have to deal with when you're playing the saxophone anyways. But it does not feel like a saxophone, and it does not teach you how do I say this? You don't learn how to put together an embouchure. You don't learn wind support. You don't learn how to take your wind column and push it through the horn in the same way you would with a saxophone. And if you're going to learn to play the saxophone, if you want your kid to learn to play the saxophone, I would highly recommend you just pick up a beater horn. End of the day, no. For all the reasons so enumerated, so discussed. So my big issue with my tone edge on my soprano right now is that there's a lot of pushback from the horn. When I'm playing my soprano, it doesn't blow as freely as my tenor does. And if you know anything about a tenor, it's a bigger horn than a soprano. And therefore you can put a lot more wind into the thing, a lot more air into the thing, without it being, without it resisting, for lack of a better term. It just flows through it. Whereas with my tone edge, there's a lot of pushback. I can blow as hard as I want. But there's only a finite amount of air that can push through that tiny little opening. And the same goes with this thing. So you can strengthen your core, one supposes, by blowing into this thing. However, again, if you're trying to learn the horn, there are so many different aspects of learning saxophone, many of which, at this point, I will have to relearn when I can finally get my hands on a saxophone, including rebuilding my embouchure and rebuilding my wind control system. However, um, all of that being said, you are free to do this if you would like. There are any number of conveniences as to why you might want to pick this thing up for your kid if they wanted to learn the saxophone. Again, I wouldn't recommend it, but you can do so. If your kid plays in school and has access to a saxophone, or really, really likes the saxophone, but you don't like the saxophone because it's loud, because she's bad at it, um, because how do I put this? What's a good way to put it? Loud, she's bad at it, you don't like it. There's no she can't take it home from school. Any of the reasons why she can't be with her saxophone all the time. This is a nice tool to practice the things she would need to practice without the actual body of the horn. She can pick up her fingering, she can pick up her finger control, she can practice with a metronome, she can do all of those things. He can do all of those things. I'm using she because it's the appropriate terminology for the use of a bow, which seems like a really demeaning thing to say about a person's child, uh, regardless of sex or gender. But I don't care. Uh, that being said, for anyone that's got any experience on the saxophone, who knows how to play the horn already, who doesn't have a need for another saxophone, uh, but wants to be able to do it on the bus. I don't do it on the bus. I don't do anything. Um, on the way to work, you want to have it in your car while you're sitting in traffic on the fucking 5 or on 280 or on I-80. If you, for the same reason, have a wife or kids that hate the fucking sound of the saxophone, if you're a professional saxophone player who lives with his family and they hate you for playing the saxophone all the time, but I don't know, if you're a solo instrumentalist, I don't see why you would ever have any interest. Nonetheless, again, it allows you to play through headphones. It's particularly quiet, and you can play MIDI through it. I would recommend it in that sense. Um, it's a good practice tool. It's a great practice tool, as a matter of fact. Um, it's a great practice tool, but it's not a replacement for a sax. Every video that I've seen of it has every single person saying the same thing. It's a great tool. There are some improvements that can be made. Again, uh, my particular favorite suggestion would be to be able to twist off the diaphragm that reads signal, so I can pull it out and swab the inside of the horn, swab the inside of the instrument um, without damaging the diaphragm. That would be nice. I could probably just stick a pipe cleaner in it, but that would be an awesome thing. Again, rather than using what looked to be steel uh, steel springs that are sort of curved around so that it operates like that. If they used springs um, in the exact same way that like an actual saxophone would use them, that'd be awesome. It would probably raise the cost immensely, but the actual feel of the keys themselves might be a little more closer to uh, what a saxophone player might prefer to feel when they're trying to get practice down. This particular one, again, the way it feels right now is not. It doesn't feel like a saxophone in any traditional sense. Um, it feels like a piece of plastic with saxophone springs on, with saxophone keys on that um, that have a particular tension. What's on the door? It feels like a keyboard with semi-weighted keys. Is the best way to put it. It feels like a keyboard with semi-weighted keys uh, on a saxophone. Again, uh, that is not my biggest concern when it comes to uh, the purpose of this thing. It's a negligible gripe, uh, but it is one. I mean, they'll make improvements to it eventually, uh, as any company that's worth its salt will eventually have to do. And this product is fucking solid for what it is, and I don't have any complaints about it. I played the eWii USB. Um, the sounds themselves are not sounds that I'm going to concern myself with. I mean, it just is what it is. It's not going to replace the saxophone, but it will give you the versatility, the hand speed, and the versatility that are useful. Um, I've been using it to get my hands back into shape, uh, in the sense that uh, I have a recent memory of playing my tenor and my soprano. Recent is, prior to April of last year, prior to March of last year. Uh, I was platypus fingering my fucking horn. Um, I think anyone who plays the saxophone knows what I'm referring to is trying to get some extra speed in, and hands aren't, my fingers aren't bending the right way, but it allows me to play a little bit quicker, but less accurately. So I've been practicing that, um, getting the fingerings down, trying to make it so that I'm in the right place at the right time, if that makes sense, uh, with every single one of these things. Uh, to practice, I make use of iReal Pro. I think I've talked about this before. It's a particularly interesting app. It's just a backing app. They used to have a thing way back in like the fucking 90s and early 2000s uh, that you could buy for like $50. Band in a box or something, I think is what it was called. Uh, it was just this old computer program that does the exact same thing that iReal Pro does, except worse and old. Um, and You can just download a bunch of tracks onto the thing, and it allows you to connect to your phones via Bluetooth, so you can do it that way. Now, this thing itself connects to your app via Bluetooth. So, what you can do uh, with your app is while you are simultaneously playing the Odyssey app, playing with the Odyssey app rather. For some reason, I cannot hear. Come on, buddy. We've got the Odyssey app on. Oh, my app is fucking up. I think my battery's gonna die is why. That'll also be my phone. Give me just a moment. You can pull up, in addition to playing with the travel sax. No, I don't. You can pull up iReal Pro, and it'll give you some backing tracks, which you will be able to hear. Ooh, that sounds fucking crazy. It'll give you metronome, which isn't the big issue. It'll give you a set of drums, it'll give you a bass, it'll give you a keyboard. So it'll give you a full rhythm section. You can just play to your heart's content. It's also got a bunch of different sounds. Either way, that's what I do when I'm practicing. I'm usually playing out of Bobby Stern's The Melodic Minor Handbook. I'm studying the melodic minor chord, the jazz melodic minor chord at the moment. Bobby Stern's book is about 150 pages. There are some significant typos. Right out of the gate, there's one big one that I would point out that might throw a lot of younger students off. If you happen to know the book, you might have already caught it yourselves. If you don't know the book and you're interested in the melodic minor, which is fucking everywhere, and you're like really interested in studying the melodic minor, you can pick it up someday. It's an Ebersol book. So it's an Ebersol, standard Ebersol book. This one happens to be about 175 pages. So there's a major typo that I may as well point out. And to be perfectly honest, this might not be the way that a lot of musicians of any with any experience with these things deal with these things, but I don't generally spend a significant amount of time reading what they're telling me as much as looking through the notes and reading through the chords. But if you do, this is a significant one. It's on the page 100. It's essentially it's a misprint of the mode, which again can throw some intermediate students off. Throw off a novice that doesn't know anything about the modes and chords, but it'll probably throw off an intermediate as well if they're not paying attention or not entirely sure of these things yet. There are also some really silly ones in the latter pages. There's the Neoldic section, which still makes me laugh when I look at it. And there are probably some other ones that I haven't even paid attention to yet. They're in there. It's a standard thing that happens with publications. I don't worry about it. It's good to point it out. It's good to take note of it. The reason I bring this up is Aebersold. Aebersold is standard. Jamie Aebersold, jazzbooks.com is one of those places that people just know about. Uh, and if you don't look it up. Uh, they've got play-alongs. You can purchase books that have CDs with them as well, or you can purchase PDFs that allow you to listen to and download particular tracks. Or like me, you can pick up the aerosols that don't have those. Learn to play particular things based on certain theories, certain people's readings of certain music theory elements, things that become fashionable, uh, and then pick up iRobot and play over that. All those things are possible. All those things are possible with this thing here. Again, uh, the thing is about retail's probably at about $7.50 in America, um, and it is worth every penny. And I do mean that. Um, again, it's like a really small piece of gear. You can literally fit it into your overcoat pocket, the inside pocket, and also the outside pocket. You can stick it into the inside pocket of your overcoat, and it will not look like anything's in there. If you're not a weirdo that sits with your horn in the car while you're in traffic, you can use it there. You can use it on the bus. You can walk to the bus stop with this thing. I'm not saying that I wasn't the kind of guy that used to walk around playing my saxophone in the middle of the city, because I was, and it was obnoxious. Uh, but if you don't want to do that, and also your wife hates you, or your kids hate you, or your parents hate you, you can pick one of these up and you can use it with your headphones. Um, you can do whatever you want uh, when it comes to the way that you play the saxophone. Uh, and like me, I've played the thing non. I shouldn't say nonstop. Played it for about 30 years, so older than you, most likely. Um, with a degree of commitment that has gone back and forth between not playing at all to playing every day. Uh, I've been through the melodic minor handbook. I'm working through the melodic minor handbook. Done all the 251 stuff, uh, altered scale, diminished, augmented, all that shit. Um, and I want to hear most of it, or all of it, really. Uh, but um, this piece of gear is going to be worth your money if you were going to use it for the purpose that it's supposed to be used for, uh, which is to practice the horn. Again, I wouldn't buy it at all um, if you happen to uh, one, not have that particular need. If you're a professional solo instrumentalist, there's no reason for you to have anything at all but your horn. I don't know why you'd be practicing all the time, because if you're good, you don't need to practice. That's how that works. I am indeed being super facetious right now. Um, but again, I mean, if you're a touring saxophonist, right, the benefits to having one of these are outweighed by the benefits of you just continuously playing the horn. If you're an intermediate, if you're even intermediate advanced, which is probably where I'm at. I mean, I'm probably advanced, but I'm probably not advanced. I'm in the middle of somewhere there. But uh, having not played consistently for the past 5, 6 years, with you know not any significant commitment since the age of 32, which is almost 10 years ago, going back and forth, on and off, rather 30, excuse me, going back and forth and on and off for months at a time without any, you know, significant fucking breakthroughs or playing because of all the things I've just mentioned. My embouchure is going to be shot. So when I pick up an alto, which is probably what I'm going to pick, I'm probably going to end up picking up an alto while I'm out here. Because one, I've already got a soprano, uh, and two, it's with everything that's happening right now, it'll be cheaper and probably safer for me to pick up an alto here that I can bring back to the States if they decide to send me back to the States. Um, it's just going to be less expensive than shipping my fucking tenors over there. And I just don't, I shouldn't say it. Nonetheless, um, I will probably be playing with this until I get to an alto. And I will probably be keeping this after I pick up an alto so that I can continue to practice this. The instrument itself, after my embouchure breaks, which it will, probably multiple times. Uh, for a student, I have a niece that's a saxophone player who's just learning to play the saxophone. I would recommend that she pick one of these up if she has any interest in playing the saxophone more. I know of uh, learning the saxophone in school, um, and I know that there won't be a lot of dedicated time to it because that's the way classes work. Again, if there's any real interesting following through with the saxophone, I would, if I were her parents, I would pick her up one of those for Christmas or make her work so that she could pick one up. It's a good piece of gear. Uh, it's a good piece of practice gear. I don't have any. Again, I don't have any legitimate critiques that go beyond. When you guys work on the next one, maybe look into these things. Uh, that's about it. I don't feel like playing. I spoke about my friend Kavan Savoyd, who sang in Brooklyn, soul singer in Brooklyn, uh, who passed away at the beginning of uh, this year, which is not something I knew about until I randomly looked it up. Uh, but again, I played saxophone with her weekly. uh, and if you're playing sax regularly like that, I lost my train of thought. Uh, Essentially, I would recommend this piece of gear. It doesn't replace a saxophone. Uh, you can use it basically for anything electronic as well, which is probably the best aspect of this particular thing, is that I can make use of any saxophone abilities that I do have, and any expertise having to do with music on the whole. Um, in the way that I normally would, without having to readjust to an instrument that I don't know anything about, and then having to abide a particular set of rules that don't make any sense to me in terms of how an instrument works because I don't play that instrument. Um, so that is my recommendation. Uh, is if you are a person that is new to the saxophone without any experience, um, pick up a real horn. If you're a person who already has a little bit and would like to learn the horn better, uh, then pick up the Odyssey. Uh, I'm not saying don't pick up the Odyssey if you just want to learn the saxophone, but I wouldn't recommend it. Uh, for 350, you can pick up a saxophone and then put it down and talk about how you tried it once and aren't good at it. Uh, for 750, you can do that with an app. Uh, but for 1,000, you can do both or one. So that's my recommendation. It's a good piece of gear. It's a great piece of gear for electronics if you play the saxophone, and it's an amazing practice tool if you actually play the saxophone with any commitment level and any skill level. It's a good piece of gear. Pick it up or don't. I'll ship. I'm not going to play again. I want to practice more because I don't. Oh, that was what I was going to say. I don't care about music anymore. Yeah, that's a real bummer. Anyway, I'm going to play some more of this saxophone once I get this thing charged. So there's your review from, as you can see, Italy.